and good morning. My name is Usha Chudasama, and in this video, I'm going to explain my journey as a young mum when I felt a lot of mummy guilt, and I will talk about the kind of things that other parents have shared with me. So, like I said, my name's Usha Chudasama. I'm the author of a book called Your Happy Child, 10 Proven Steps to Raising a Happy Child. I'm a family well-being and mental health expert, and I help, I coach parents to learn the art and science of parenting, where they can heal their own inner child through the experience of parenthood and adulthood, so that they're in a more conscious place to raise happier children who are confident, resilient, and independent, and they fulfill their potential. So, as I said, I'm mentioning um, this thing about mummy guilt. Which mum does not feel guilt? I mean, well, maybe there are some, I'm sure. But when I remember back to when I was a mum, a young mum, and I felt mummy guilt all the time. And I'm going to share some of those today. So, like I said, we get judged. Motherhood gets judged by society, by people around them, by friends, even family and other mums, colleagues, whatever. They get judged. I mean, everyone's got an opinion about how a child should be raised. Now, with me, it was, am I breastfeeding? Why not? If not, because I find it really difficult. And uh, to be honest, I only did that for 2 weeks. I only breastfed for 2 weeks because nothing happened and it was painful. And so I was judged for that. And then I mean, when I was pregnant, I actually left my job to look after Lena, and I was judged for that. Why have you left your job? You were doing a really good, and I actually loved my job. I did actually love my job. I used to work in a bank, and now I'd become a stay-at-home mum. And you kind of get downtrodden. If you're a stay-at-home mum, you're just staying at home. You've got nothing else to do. People forget that actually when you're a stay-at-home mum, the amount of values and qualities and skills you have to juggle all of those things, my goodness. um the other thing was, you know how will I get my daughter to sleep? I mean, bedtime routines, basically judging my bedtime routines, because I used to sit with her until she fell asleep. And some people say, oh, well, no, it doesn't matter if they cry, you should let them cry. And, it's like, what do you do? What am I supposed to do? Even how I dressed her, people had an opinion about how I dressed her. It was, I mean, I'm tired just talking about it now. And it was, um, it was other people's judgments, and what I found was that once you have a baby, people don't leave you alone. They've got all of this helpful advice, and it is helpful advice because they've been through the journey and they just want to impart some knowledge into you. But as a young mum who's never had any kind of, I mean, that was my first baby, so I didn't have any other input. So you know it came across as criticism and people judging me for how I did things. I mean, I remember I felt so guilty about these particular things. So I remember that I really believed in home fresh cooked foods. So I used to make everything. I used to make all her baby purees, the milk, the rice, and then as she grew up, weaning her into solids and all of those things. But you know what? I was judged for not having pre-packaged baby food. Like when I went out for, I don't know, when I went to the park or something like that. Um, and yeah, some other people said, well, it's so much easier to just get a hot water flask and, get some powdered food and mix it up and just feed your baby. And I didn't believe in that. But I felt guilty because I felt like maybe I was doing something wrong. But I didn't have the confidence. I didn't know, I didn't have the know-how. I didn't have the science behind all of that. I didn't know. Most mums don't know. And, um, I remember when I gave up my job that I didn't actually have money then to buy luxuries, and we just made do with all the things that we had. So it was quite a tough time when I first left my job. And I remember, um, I remember when she was 1 year old and decided to. I mean, she had her own bedroom. Well, we never. She used to always sleep with us, but when she had her own bedroom, I thought after her first birthday, I'll, you know, introduce her to her room. And that night she cried all night, and I kept going back. I kept going back. I remember doing that for about a week actually, and then the midwife said, "No, no, no, you've got to leave her to let her cry out." And my heart was hurting, and I was pulled with knowing what the right thing to do was. I wanted to be with her, but I had all of this. I was reading a lot of parent books as well, by the way, um, and listening to other people's advice, and it was like overwhelm and too much information. And then what happens is that you tend to start doubting yourself, and you wonder whether you're doing the right thing. Now, I don't know whether this resonates with you, but um, recently I wrote a post on Instagram, and I've done a blog post about this as well. But one person came back and said, this is what she's actually said. She said, I've got mum guilt already, and this is a parent with a young baby, and she, sending her to nursery or going back to work. This juggling act, having her sleep in her own room. Oh my God, that I can so relate with this parent because I had the same. Um, Being judged for following and not hand feeding every meal, and trying to force her to eat more. Is she happy? Should I be spending more time with her? Am I spending enough time with her? Are the meals fully nutritious? Oh my goodness, the kinds of things that us mums have to like endure. It sounds really funny now looking back, but when I was going through it, I can so relate with other parents going through it. And then, this parent goes on to say, am I depriving her for not letting her eat sugar and salt and, all the things that she grew up with when she was a baby? She feels mean and horrible. But I was going through the same things all those years ago as well, wondering whether I should feed her all of this sugar and trying not to. And then, having conflicts with other people who want to give her sweets. Oh my God. Oh, it's bringing it all back. And I remember, not having enough money for her for designer clothes, where other mums had, uh, gear for, those tiny baby shoes which they grow out of so quickly, and then what happens to them? I mean, my daughter had quite a lot of hand me downs, and I wasn't that proud. I mean, I don't mind, but you know the judgment from other people makes you feel guilty, and and that comes and then I felt really guilty when my daughter was 11, and I actually suffered from a stressful breakdown, and it was a really tough time. I was in bed literally for a year, and I didn't know why my body had suddenly collapsed. My whole immune system had collapsed, and she had to be my carer. She ended up doing the shopping, cooking, well, everything basically. And I felt so guilty. Um, anyway, the list is endless, and I could go on and on. But what I want to do is just highlight the kinds of things that other mothers have contacted me about, and the kinds of things I feel guilty about as a parent. And maybe what you could do is write down in the comments below what kind of things you feel guilty about, because I'm going to do another post next week. And if you have any questions about it, then you know write it all down, because I'm going to do another post and I will address some of these things, because guilt is what you feel. Guilt is what you feel um, when you feel like you've done something wrong, whether it's intentional or accidental. And the thing is that guilt is actually an emotion which is giving you an indication that something needs to be corrected. and it kind of links to what you feel morally. So it links to your own moral code and your belief system. So there's a lot of depth in this emotion, and all of this is kind of determined when we are children, and it kind of surfaces again and triggers us again when our kids are young. So I'm going to end there, but I hope that that was useful, to start thinking about the kinds of things that you feel guilty about. And if you want to know more, then listen out for the video that I'm going to make up next week, or have a read of the blog, which I will put in the comments below. So thank you so much for listening, and bye for now.